In this series, we've discussed how using a pen to produce low formality handwritten notes improves memory and cognition by switching on many of your senses and activating large areas of the brain. But can the same results be achieved when presenting? When we talk about presenting, you're no doubt going to think PowerPoint. And many of you are probably slumped in your chair now thinking, oh no, not another boring PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint has a pretty bad rap these days. Jeff Bezos reportedly banned it at Amazon. Many people talk about death by PowerPoint, and I know that I've experienced that out-of-body sensation when you realize that they're actually going to read the slides to you for the next hour. But the trouble with PowerPoint, it's not actually PowerPoint. It's you, the presenter. It should be called death by boring presenter. PowerPoint does have some limitations though. It encourages a linear presentation style. It's predefined, and by its nature, it's not interactive. But it doesn't have to be that way, because PowerPoint can do much more. And no, I'm not talking about the star wipe transition effect, not at all. See, PowerPoint actually supports digital inking, and that can transform your PowerPoint presentations forever. Savoy, Proctor and Salvendi published a paper in 2008 looking at the benefits of PowerPoint presentations in lectures versus the traditional chalk and talk style presentation that university lecturers did back in the old days. They found that both styles of presentation have their place. But to simplify, people don't actually listen to you when you present complete PowerPoint slides. They actually won't recall much of what you said, but they will read your slides while you read it to them, and then they'll pop out their phone camera and take a snapshot of the slide to be lost in their camera roll forever. So let's stop it. If you need people to read things, send them a memo. A post in a channel in Teams would do the trick. A Word document if you must. Print it if you have to, but stop reading slides to people. And stop preparing information-laden PowerPoint slides. Retired Professor of Biology Gordon Sanson, who we discussed in this series, told his staff to remove 60% of the information from their PowerPoint presentations. The missing 60% was to be created with a pen during the presentation. I'll show you how to do that, but before we do, there's 3 reasons why this is important. The first is that inking on your slides allows you to interact with your audience. Now, this may or may not be possible depending on your audience. If you have a smaller group, you can ask questions, gather ideas and feedback, and that can actually shape the direction of your presentation. And you, the all-knowing presenter, can actually learn things too. For example, I created this slide back in 2015, and I've used it in a lot of my presentations since. Why take notes? I deliberately handwrote this question rather than having it typed, and you'll see why. And the rest of the slide is blank. So I get to this slide and I ask the question and I patiently wait for a response. To a corporate or government audience, I generally say, why do you take notes in meetings? I've probably asked many thousands of people that question now. And people usually say something like to remember, or to capture action items or tasks, and to keep a record. That one's quite popular with the government audiences. But I get those 3 answers pretty much every time. One day, a guy up the back said, to stop me from falling asleep. Then another time I got, to look important, or to look smart, sarcastically no doubt. We all laughed. But these types of answers kept popping up. Rarely, but consistently. So I did a bit of thinking and a bit of digging, and it turns out that these answers were really actually gems. Because taking notes is a great way to signal your participation and to maintain your attention and focus. The answers, although joking, actually highlighted the importance of active listening. But if I'd simply inserted the 3 most popular answers into my slides, I would have never learned anything. And asking the question has changed the course of my presentation many times. Secondly, seeing you create with your pen initiates the mirror response in those in the audience. Mirror neurons in your brain mimic the activity that you're watching, and it's likely that this has a similar effect to note-taking for the audience. It immerses the senses and focuses the attention. And lastly, producing low formality content on your slides gives your audience time to do the same. You'll write notes, they'll take notes, leading to better outcomes for everyone. This is especially important in a learning setting. So there you go, the science says that you'd be much better off using a pen on your slides. So how do we do it? Well, firstly, as Professor Sanson said, you need to take content out of your slides. Put the content into your slide notes if you need it there as a reference. Look for slides that could be questions. Take out the content and think about the answers that you might get. You could just leave a picture on the slide, or you could write in a question or a point, or you could even type. But keep it very simple. Now, when you're delivering the PowerPoint presentation, you might be plugged into a TV or projector, and depending on how you've set it up, your computer screen could look like this, presenter mode, or like this, duplicate mode. In presenter mode, you'll see a pen icon, and you can click on it with your Surface Pen and start writing on your slide. I'd suggest using your device flat like a tablet at this point, so that you can rest your hand on the screen and write as best you can. If you want to make your presentation even more interactive, connect to the TV or projector wirelessly so that you can hold your tablet in your hand and walk the room. We've done a video on using Miracast to present wirelessly, and we'll link to that in the description below. If your writing is messy, slow down and take a breath. It's okay, and slowing down will improve your output here. The eraser on the back of your Surface Pen will erase. You can also choose a different color for your pen from this icon here. If your screen is in duplicate mode, you'll see the same thing on the projector and on your device. So you'll need to hover your Surface Pen over the slide and look for this little pen icon down here in the bottom left corner. It's a watermark and it's quite small and tricky to see. Click on the pen and start writing on your slides. You can change the color from this menu too. When you're in this mode, you can navigate your slides using your fingertips, swipe left or right to move through the slides. You don't need to be an artist to use this effectively. I'm certainly no artist, and my writing's very messy. But it doesn't matter, because if you do this, you'll be able to genuinely interact with your audience, you'll activate their mirror neurons and immerse their senses, and you'll give them time to take notes. So if you haven't tried this already, give it a go. Use this with small groups at first, maybe for your first 10 attempts. Then start to expand and use it with bigger audiences. I've used this technique in front of a few hundred Microsoft staff at a conference. Together, we can end death by PowerPoint. So join us in the fight by liking this video, subscribing and sharing it with your serial Read the Slides colleagues and offenders.